I've got. So I was just like, you've seen this beauty in this place. Like, where is that at? And kind of tell me a little bit about what that was like and to write that and that experience, if there was an experience or.
Yeah, I think it's so interesting that you see that because a lot of the poems in the book are dealing with lack in Kansas. And so when I moved here, again, I attended a PWI. I was from Columbus, which is not predominantly Black. But I was still able to have relationships with Black people there. I had friends, I had romantic relationships. And when I got to Kansas, there was none of that. I spent some months alone, not in a relationship. And so while a part of my book is dealing with some of the academic growth or academic struggles or struggles at the university, a lot of it's also dealing with a lot of my personal life. So I wrote that piece when I was finding a romantic relationship. And so that was that space in Kansas that felt like home. And so I borrowed the title from Langston Hughes' Is Not Without Laughter. And so thinking about Kansas as lacking and then also healing in some ways. And so having to go back and reflect on a moment in Kansas where there is happiness. Yeah.
It's dope you mentioned healing because both of these works of art talk about healing in ways that we can heal ourselves, whether it's letting go of things that, just no longer serve us well, but still are a part of us and can just always be on the journey, or whether it's finding love in a place where may not always give you love, right? Mm-hmm. And just opening yourself up to that love. So let's just move along. And the next piece of work that I wanted to talk about, we'll start with Simone since we started with Cuee this time, was the Black Girls poem. Mm-hmm. And if you feel comfortable just telling people where they could find it online too, so to the work that we're discussing.
Mm-hmm. Not Without Kansas and Shade Journal.
Okay.
Yep. And then Black Girls is an Apogee. Yep.
And so Black Girls really just connected with me because of my history, my trauma experience with molestation, rape, and just interactions with Black men in the U.S. and in Africa, just feeling so sexualized. And getting to a continent where I expected connection with the people, the land, and feeling hypersexualized. Mm-hmm. Like, damn. Like, it was interesting how you talked about that experience in Black Girls and how I connected. But I was really just wanting to see what was the work behind that. And, yeah.
I was so angry when I wrote that poem. I was actually... one of my white girlfriends, I think we were at my house. I don't know where we were, but she was singing Janelle Monáe's song. And I was just like, girl, this is not for you. Because I see Janelle Monáe as, of course she's like this, all women empowerment, but also I think she speaks directly to a specific woman, queer and also Black women as well. And so when she was singing that, I was like, And so I was warring with this, like, do I allow her to have that space in this song where she's able to say that her body is hers because her body is hers? She's able to take control of her body. But for me, it's a little bit more complicated as a Black woman. Not only do I have to worry about gender, I also have to worry about race. And not only, being objectified and sexualized by Black men, it's white men, and it's Black men and white men across various intersections, and so just reflecting on what it's like to be a Black woman trying to find agency, trying to reclaim my body alongside other women, or, within areas where all we are objects,
right.
Or all we are, is being objectified. Yeah.
I'm just thinking of something currently that just came to mind, the R. Kelly docuseries.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because I think it was so necessary. I do think that there were some things that could have been done to protect people viewing that. Like, before you watch this may trigger some trauma. I also think like it just also showcased where the Black woman stands in this this space called United States of America, like how objectified we can become, and we are,
right, and continue
to be, and we can just be so blinded to that, even when people in our own community, you know what I mean, are doing it to us. So I'm just wondering if you had any thoughts on that docuseries.
I know it's so disheartening.
Yeah, because that was like that is like ripping up large piece of our culture, but we also have to be in the reality of what it is.
Necessary. My heart goes out to those girls and those women. And I mean, you're right. We don't worry about Black girls. We don't worry about Black women. We don't care about the rates of sexual assault or sexual violence or physical violence against them. And so we resort to documentaries about just, this is happening. And what do we do now? Now that we have this information. Oh, we've been had this information, but it just goes to show that it's only limited to us just watching what's going on.
Which is kind of across the board. Like, we can go on, but we're going to just go to blah, 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 because we're not going to talk too much about that. We're going to address it and just kind of move to blah, blah, blah as well, which is Cue's, one of her tracks on Shameless.
Hold on, wait, I go by they, them.
Yes, thank you for correcting me, because I did get caught up in a moment and wasn't acknowledging that gender pronouns are necessary, and I want to put some respect on that. So they go, blah, 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 sorry. So there was a part in that song that connected with me because I have anxiety, and I catch myself talking a lot when I'm, like, super anxious, and so, like, I listen to... that just runs through my mind like, ooh, you talk too much. So I'm like, just like checking myself with that. But there was this piece where you say, got a huge to-do list with no time to do it. I stack up, got my bank accounts just to fulfill me. And you say, it's time to move with no time to lose. So like for me, that was just kind of a movement even through anxiety, right? Like, so when you have this huge to-do list with no time to do it, you're super anxious, your heart moving fast, you really can't find anything to do, you're talking a lot. And then once you just sit down and really focus and get your finances, if that's something you need to do, see things clearly, like really start building your confidence within yourself, you move in a direction that serves you better. So that's just kind of what connected me to that song. So I was also wondering what that song was for you and what it was like to produce, and I mean, not produce, but to lay that down.
Okay, yeah, blah, blah, blah. Ooh, I wrote that out a minute ago, so let me think. I'm like, how did I feel when I was writing that? But I do want to hit on, because you really didn't ask this, but I thought about this as you were talking. If you interpreted my lyrics that way, I was really just speaking about my experiences, right? Mm-hmm. And like, this is how I looked at life. Like, literally, it was just like, everything's happened so fast, and it's just like, and then it's like self-check, and it's like, I just started understanding that I have anxiety and those things. And so what if I was just writing about a moment in time where I was experiencing like, anxiety in those moments. But I was in those lyrics specifically, I was talking probably about hustling or probably about doing something in the studio or music. But a lot of references, I also do talk about school, because I am a student. Like, I was a student. Like, that's all I
You are
did.
a scholar, too.
Yeah, I'm a scholar, right? I do that. Yeah, I'm like, I research, I do that. I'm in higher ed. I'm still there in that space. And so those are my experiences. And so just trying to find a way to, like, make them sound cool. Or I guess put them in hip-hop terms, because, yeah, I'm not. I mean, I wish I didn't have to work, 9 to 5 in higher ed. And, I love my students, but, you after hours with your students and stuff. But I love that life. So, shit, when I'm saying I'm working overtime, y'all know what I mean.
Yeah.
Quit talking.
Quit talking, yeah. And then, quit talking also was a reference to, no offense to those students in my classroom that just did not shut up. Yeah. It was like, or people. And then even thinking now, me too, because in those moments I do talk a lot. And sometimes when I'm up there rapping, I be like, damn, Q, you talk too much and you sit here rapping this song, but it's okay. You just gonna still rap it.
Yeah. It's a process.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm gonna think about it like that too. Self-check, listen to my music and taking my own music sometime too. Yeah, I'm gonna do that as a practice. Yeah.
I thought it was super dope. And that kind of is like the healing component that I talk about in the work that I do with psychology. Just that everybody's going to listen to something, right, and get something totally different. There's going to be oppression and privilege in what you hear because you have oppression and privilege within you. Like, so you have to also connect with that and understand the emotions that are being evoked and know if you need help to deal with those emotions or, and also understand that anxiety for certain people look totally different. And I think you really hit to that when you said, like, hustling. I'm talking about hustling and all that, but what we consider hustling can be anxiety, right? Because I'm hustling right now, but I'm anxious as hell. Like, you know what I mean? I'm doing this podcast. I woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I got to go to therapy. I got to do this. I got to do that. I got to do, oh my God, I forgot to do this. Like, I'm anxious as hell, but I'm hustling.
Thinking about the next step.
You see what I'm saying? So that's a Black reference, but it's hustling anxiety. So we have to check ourselves to see, like, are we referring to hustling or are we referring to something that may not serve us well? Because we can hustle, but we need to lose the anxiety. You know what I mean? Because that may push us to another level. Which is a good transition into another level, Take Flight. We could start there and then end with the poem. So in here, the lyric that I connected with was West Coast business. It's a brand now. Hustle gang tight. Target locked on sight. Yeah, you got yourself a motherfucking plan now. So that's like...
I was owning my shit.
You want to do that? Because I mean, it looked like you felt it, but I don't know. But...
It's like, keep your hustle gang tight. Target locked on sight. And you got yourself a motherfucking plan now. Yeah. I was like, yeah.
Because, I mean... You gave an equation for the healing for anxiety, though, in that bar, though. For me, that's what I got. Like, as long as, if my hustle is a clear vision, right? Mm-hmm. If I know who my target is, and if I'm putting in all my work into this, then I got myself a motherfucking plan. And I don't have to be as anxious right now. Like, anxiety is always going to be a part of me, right? Like, that's just one of my bags. But what Erica said, we don't always have to pick up every bag we got. Like, we can use them bags
one
to
thing
flex
at a
a little
time.
bit. You know what I'm saying?
One step at a time.
So the same flow we kind of just been following. What was Take Flight for you? Like,
Take Flight was fun. Mm-hmm. And when I first heard that beat, I was like, oh, this is my, like, coming out song. This is my, like, oh, hit. So I knew it had to be that. Okay, and funny thing is, it originally wasn't called Take Flight. It was originally called Rick Ross. Because that's what the hook says. Yeah. And I'm just a hook person. Oh, so basic. I'm going to keep it like that. I like that. You feel me?
I like that. Yeah.
Rick Ross, right? And so the song was Rick Ross, and then I had this whole little plan in my head that I'm like, ooh, Rick Ross, he gonna love this song. He gonna listen to it. He gonna hear it. He gonna be like, ooh, yeah. And I'm gonna be like, yep, and we can eat some wings, because I might be going too far, but
about wings.
Y'all connected on too many levels already, so it had to happen.
My favorite thing in the world. So we could just rap and eat wings, and then, you feel me? So that was like, far stretch plans. But originally the song was Rick Ross. And my friend Joel on the song, he wrote the hook on the song, actually. And he wrote the hook in his verse, and he was just like, Q, I need you on this song. I really want you on this song. And we have a little have a little collective that we had going on where we kind of make music together. And we try to do one song. And so that was one of those songs. But it was my beat. And so I was like, okay, so this song's not a collective song anymore. This is my song. So this is what we're going to do with it now. And so we got a new singer on there, and we changed it up a little bit. Simone was there in the studio. It was a nice time. And the song changed, and it was still called Rick Ross for a long time. And maybe it was a sign from God that it shouldn't have been called Rick Ross anymore, because when I went to go upload it, they were like, yo, you cannot name a song after a rapper. And I was like, what?
And ain't that ironic he got in trouble for his name after a...
Right,
you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Okay. May have been a blessing.
Right. So I'm sitting here, and it took me to a point where I had to, again, go back in and listen to that song and really be like, what did I really... why did I really create this song? And Take Flight I was like, I called Joel and I was like, yo, we need a new song because Rick Ross is not going to work. Our whole plan is scratch.
Right.
We're not going to beat Rick Ross.
We got to delay the chicken wings and rapping for a little bit.
We'll get to it.
And so we was like, we slept on it for a few days and he was just like, man, what's the song? And then I asked you too. I was like, hey, what can we
And I
name
was like,
the song?
take flight. No, I'm just kidding.
I was like, I'm gonna agree to this. No, I was like, and it just came. I don't know if it came after us having a conversation, and I don't know who blurted it